What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Mark Deez Word Show. This is episode 5. We're going to call this episode Legends Never Die. I am your host, Mark Deez, and this podcast has kind of been on hiatus, for about a month now. And the reason being, November 9th of last month, my father passed away. It was unexpected. Nobody saw it coming, but, things like this do happen. It's been a rough past 2 years for my family. A lot of crazy things, have been happening, regarding people's, health issues and things of that nature. And, this was just, out of left field, man. So this whole episode 5 of the Mark Deez Word Show podcast, I'm going to dedicate it to my pops, man. So, song of the day, song of the week for this episode is going to be a song that, my pops did. He was in a band called Santa Fe Train. I'm going to delve into that a little bit more here as we progress into the show. But, the song is by Santa Fe Train, written by my father, Mike Dodaro, and Keith Pittman. It's called Winds of Change. The quality on this track isn't the greatest quality. It's ripped from a cassette tape that I ripped and converted to MP3. So it's not the greatest quality in the world, but we're gonna jam it out, man. Some good old tunes. This is a track from like 1978. So here we go. Santa Fe Train, Winds of Change.
After the love
gentlemen, welcome back to the Mark Deez Word Show. That was the song of the week, Winds of Change by Santa Fe Train, the band that my father was the lead singer of. So on that track, that was my dad on lead vocals, Keith Pittman on accompanying vocals. And I'm not sure who all played on that record. But I do know that it's not the original lineup from Santa Fe Train. I'm giving Santa Fe Train credit for it, but it's really my dad and Keith and whatever studio musicians they had on there. I'd have to ask Keith, he would know. This whole episode, we're going to dedicate it to the memory of my father, man. We're going to honor him because, he would really dig that. So I want to spend this week's episode honoring him, talking about all of his accomplishments in life and, his influence on me. Like, from hearing the record, my father was a singer. He was the lead singer of Santa Fe Train. So I'm going to tell y'all a little bit about Santa Fe Train. They were a band, formed right here in Augusta, Georgia. Probably, one of the greatest bands that ever came out of this city. And I'm not being biased. This is, what all the old timers tell me, man. When I walk into the music store or, when I'm out and about downtown or whatever, and I run into these old timers, they're always telling me about, Santa Fe Train and that time period. And, when they find out, that I am the son of my father, it kind of blows their mind because they're like, oh, really? Because, he was somewhat of a local legend, that's just how it was. And, my dad was in a band in the late 60s when he was in high school. It was called the Shades of Soul. Well, Santa Fe Train kind of formed out of the Shades of Soul. And, I believe when he was around 19 years old is when Santa Fe Train was really hitting hard. And, they were signed by James Brown himself to Stardate King Polydor Records. And my dad is the one who got them that record deal. He walked up to James Brown, and I think it was Bill Berry, if my memory's serving me correctly. And, he handed James Brown a demo tape and, gave him his contact information, told him to listen to it. Now, obviously he was thinking, this is the godfather of soul. He's probably, he gets tapes all the time. He probably doesn't even listen to them. Well, James Brown listened to the tape. And, they called my father back. I'm not sure, if they called him at his mom's house, where they called him at, but they got in touch with him and James Brown, said to him, are you pulling my leg? Is this really you on the vocals on this demo tape? My dad said, well, yeah, this my band with Santa Fe Train, blah, blah, blah. So James Brown said, okay, I want to see you guys, perform. If we come through, would you perform some songs for us? We want to hear what y'all can do, in a live forum. So, I believe my dad got everybody together over at, George Cawley's house. George was a member of the band. And, I believe they performed 3 songs there at George's house. Cause I think they like practiced in the garage at George's house. They did, I believe, 3 songs for James Brown as James Brown stood there. And when they were done performing their little 3-song set, James Brown gave them a record contract on the spot. So he signed them. They toured. I'm not sure how long they toured, but I know that they did tour for a good while. They opened for James Brown all over the United States, man. And this was in like 1970, 1971, something like that. So I don't know how long that they were with Stardate King or Polydor. You know how the music industry is. Things happen. So their album that they recorded, it never got released. I don't know, where it's at, if the tapes are even still in existence, but I know that they went to New York City. And they recorded a whole album at CBS. I guess the studio was like CBS International, something like that. A big time studio up in New York back in the 70s. And so they recorded a whole album. And I believe it was 5 or 6 members of Santa Fe Train. It was a big band. It was a rock band, but I mean, it was a big band in the sense that they had a lot of members. And the thing that they were most known for was like the harmonization of the vocals. They had like these really powerful yet harmonizing vocals that James Brown really had, an affinity for. He really thought that they were talented. And so he signed them on the spot. They toured with James Brown all over the place, did shows with a bunch of big name artists from Bobby Bird to Tyrone Davis, I think the Allman Brothers, people like that, big names, man. And they weren't performing like at little club venues. They were on tour with James Brown. So they're doing 30,000, 40,000 seat arenas. I mean, they're going all over the place. And I do know that they did a show on television for the Mike Douglas show. And I'm not sure which songs they performed, but I know they did do a song called Natural Born, and I think they did a song called Answer My Part of the Blues, but I'm not exactly sure. I've never seen this footage. I've been trying to track this footage down for years. All of the surviving members of the band have been trying to get this footage, and we've never been able to get our hands on it. Now, a couple years ago, I had spoken to someone at the production company that had all of the footage, and they were going to convert it onto DVD, but they were going to timestamp it, and they were going to sell it to me for like $600 or something like that. But at the time, I was so strapped for cash, I didn't have the money to, afford that. I just couldn't do it. But I was trying to find a way to get it. And by the time I did have the money, I contacted the production company back, and they said, look, we sold the entire Mike Douglas show catalog to CBS. So CBS is now the rights holder. So, I went through hell trying to get in touch with somebody at CBS. I called the Atlanta office. I called the New York office. The New York office said, call the Atlanta office. The Atlanta office said, call the New York office. I called the New York office back again. They said, call the Santa Monica office. Finally, I got in touch with somebody at the Santa Monica office, and they got back with me. It took weeks. I mean, I called multiple times, left messages on some automated machine. God knows who checked it. And, they had a thing where you would call in and they would give you names of people that worked there, and you could call and leave a voicemail on their answer machine. So I left a voicemail on like every person's answer machine. And finally, somebody was like, yo, we don't know who the hell this kid is or what the hell he wants, but let's call him back. So they got back in touch with me, and they told me that the footage is underground in a salt mine, because I guess that's what they do with the old, film footage. It deteriorates over time. So they put it underground in a vault in a salt mine, so it won't further deteriorate. The quality will still be there. The picture will still be on the film. So it's underground in a salt mine. And I was just baffled by this, because I was thinking, you guys bought the entire catalog of the Mike Douglas show history. All right. Let me just break it down for y'all who don't know about the Mike Douglas show. The Mike Douglas show was one of the most popular talk shows in the 70s. It was like right up under the level of a Johnny Carson. So if we were speaking in today's terms, it would be like a Jimmy Fallon or a Jimmy Kimmel or the Carson Daly Show, one of those late night talk shows that people go on, that they have special guests and things like that. Like, I mean, the Mike Douglas show was huge, man. When Star Wars came out, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, they were all on this show. So, I mean, star after star after star. If you were a name in the 70s, it's a guarantee that you appeared on the Mike Douglas show. So for anybody out there listening that's, interested in when the episode aired or whatever, I think it was May 13th, 1971. It was a week that James Brown was co-hosting the entire week with Mike Douglas. So every episode that week, James Brown was co-hosting. Now, if you go on YouTube, I think the episode from May 14th or something like that is on YouTube, but the one from May 13th that me, my family, all of our friends, all these old timers in Augusta from the music scene, and I don't mean to call them old timers in a disrespectful way. I mean that with respect, man. When I say old timer, that means you guys are top brass, pedigree, man. Y'all been around the block, and so we all want to see it, and we'll probably never get to see it, but I'm thinking that somebody out there probably has a copy of this on VHS somewhere. Now, I know that we had a copy of it, but I never saw it. Somebody in my family, we had it on VHS. Something happened with the tapes. I don't know. I don't know if they were destroyed or if they got like molded or something, but the tape wouldn't play. So, it's gone. We don't have any footage of it, but it was May 13th, 1971. James Brown was co-hosting. Hall of Fame boxer Kid Gavilan was a special guest. He was on the show. Kid Gavilan was on the show being interviewed by James Brown and Mike Douglas. And the special music guest was Santa Fe Train, which was my father's band. So, he was lead singer, Keith Pittman, Jerry Tootin, George Cawley, Gene Watkins, Dave Fisk was in the band, a couple other people. I'm trying to remember all the band members' names because there's like more than one incarnation of Santa Fe Train. So I'm not sure exactly, who was in the band at the time that they did the show. But the members that I just named, I know that they were all there. But anyway, I don't know how many songs that they performed, but I'm pretty sure they did a couple of the same songs that they performed for James Brown the day that he gave them their recording contract with Stardate King and Polydor. Which was, I believe, Answer My Part of the Blues and Natural Born. I know that those were songs that they performed because I've asked Keith, who was in the band, I've asked my dad, before he passed, what songs they performed. And he couldn't remember, how many they performed or whatever. I know that they did more than one. So it could have been one, could have been two, could have been 3 or 4. I'm not exactly sure. But, they were definitely on there May 13, 71. So yeah. Anybody out there that might be listening and has a copy of the show or can convince the, bureaucracy at CBS to go down in the salt mine and convert a DVD copy for good old Mark Deez and his family, well, that'd be a blessing from God because, we've been wanting to see this thing for years, man. And, now my father's gone. He's not here. So, I cherish all of these little things that I have, to remember him by. I got a lot of his songs. Like I said, we just played Winds of Change. That was a song that I had. I got a bunch of vinyls that they pressed up that, I need to take to Dr. Ills and get rendered down to MP3 because, I don't have a record player. Can you believe that? Hip hop purist doesn't have a way to play vinyls. Well, I'm not really big on vinyls, so that's probably why. But, I got a couple of vinyls, that they pressed up when they were in the band and things like that. But, none of their full-length albums ever came out. You know how the music industry is. A lot of politics, man. Sometimes you sign to record labels, you might be a tax write-off. You might be shelved. I mean, and it's not to say that they didn't have talent because believe me, they were very talented. And that's a sentiment that I've heard from multiple sources. And I know it to be true just from, come on, man. I got all of my songwriting skills. They came from my father, man. Every ounce of talent that I have, if you think I'm talented, that's up for debate. But, every bit of songwriting skill I have, it came from him. I know they went to New York and recorded a record, but we don't know if it's in a vault somewhere, if the tapes are destroyed, if they're gone, they don't exist. I don't know. I have an old master tape from one of their sessions, but I don't have any way to play it. So, and also I don't know if it's corroded or not. I have no way to tell, but I do have a giant reel that is a master tape. So I have no idea what's on it, what it sounds like. God knows. It's 40 years old. So, but it's at least cool to have it in my possession. Even if I can't play it, I still have it back from the old dinosaur days of the analog giant pancakes they used to record on. So I do have that. But we don't know. I tried to hit up representatives from Stardate King and Polydor, and they went through the vault, supposedly. This is what they told me. They said, they didn't have any Santa Fe Train tracks in their vault. So, I don't know. But, it is what it is. I probably have, 30 or 40 of my dad's songs that I ripped from cassette. And then, me and my father, we recorded a couple of times, man, which is crazy because, we were just talking about getting up and doing an entire project together where I was gonna be, rapping on records with my dad singing and then Keith, singing as well. And then we were gonna bring in a couple other musicians and things like that they came up with. Bring in a couple musicians that I'm familiarized with. And I was going to try to find a whole way to fund this thing, man, and go into the studio, record like a 12 or 13 track album and put it out. And it was just a passion project. It wasn't a project, where we were looking to make money off of. Honestly, we're probably going to lose money off of it because it's me, indie rapper, with a bunch of, technically dinosaurs. Not to be disrespectful, but, I'm just speaking realistically here, because my dad pretty much been out of the music game since the early 80s. Like, he hasn't been recording, proactively since the early 80s, man, because he settled down, he had a family, he moved on. But he had a successful music career. He did a lot of things, and, from everything that he did in his music career, it was passed down to me. That was a passion that he had that was passed down to me. And I thank God every day for that, man, because that was the one thing that me and my dad really had, that nobody else in my family had with him, or that, any of my brothers had with him. Our passion was music, man. And we could sit there all day and just listen to old records from the 60s, 70s, 80s. We could go into new stuff from the 90s. And we would always have a great time, man, listening to like new songs that would come out now, like whether it was hip hop or pop or rock, whatever. And we would always just listen to this stuff and just be like, man, what happened? Where did all the talent go? Because he came from a time where, if you were an artist, man, you really had to kick major ass. You had to kick some major ass, whether you were a vocalist or, a musician, guitar player, bass player, drum player, whatever. You had to be on your A game, man, to really get out there and be noticed and to have a career. And that was the thing, man. He was a pretty strong vocalist, man. Like he was dope with it. And I always loved just, listening to him sing, man. Like, that's one thing I'm going to miss a lot because, we spent a lot of time together, man. He used to always sing to me, man. And, especially when I was a kid and things like that. So, it's stuff like that you miss the most. But, we did have the chance to record, a couple of songs together. The main one is a record called The Wall of Sound, and I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that as far as releasing it. But I think my next solo record that I do, I'm going to put that on there. But yeah, man, the Wall of Sound is a funny record because basically, I'll break it down for y'all, even though nobody's really heard it yet. Only probably 30, 40 people in the world have heard it. People in my family and a couple of close friends, stuff like that. We did this record probably in 2011, something like that, summer 2011, and we were just kicking it, man, and I played him this beat, and I was like, yo, Pops, I want you to do the hook on here, and he was like, all right, son, what you want me to do? So, I laid out the little concept for him, and basically the verses are just me bigging him up and just having fun, man. It's a fun record. Like, honestly, I've been in the studio with legends, man. I've been in the studio with up-and-comers. I've been in the studio with, people from all over the world. And have worked, even if I haven't been in the studio with them, I've worked with people all over the world, legends, up-and-comers, people in 33 different countries I've worked with. And the most fun I ever had doing a record was with my dad, man. It was the greatest time I've ever had, standing in a vocal booth or writing a song or, when the song was done, just listening back and laughing, because the whole time, it's a record where me and him are just having fun and like throwing little inside jokes, stuff that we would say, stuff that most people won't even know what the hell we're talking about. But that was the beauty of it, because it was a song. It was fan service for me and him. You know what I'm saying? We were just, patting ourselves on the back with it, so to speak. We were just having a good time. And, trying to make each other laugh, really. And man, it turned out great. It's a great record. So, I'm going to put that out, and a lot of people are going to hear it and they're going to be like, what the hell is this? But, the people that know me personally and that knew my dad, are going to eat it up, man, because it's really great stuff. And I think that anybody that hears it will have to respect it, because, it's father and son, man. Like that's what we do. We always have fun together, man. Like there may have been 10 times maybe in my whole life where me and him like really went at it. Like, I mean, we would go at it because he had an aggressive nature, man. Like he was one of a kind. But a lot of people know him as like a construction worker. Like he painted houses and stuff for years. And when I was 17 years old, I was a little badass, man. I was doing a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have been doing. And long story short, I got kicked out of school for a situation that happened. I don't really want to delve into that because it's a whole negative scenario, and this show is about positive things, positivity. So we're going to keep it moving. But when I was 17, I got in trouble. I went to jail. There was only 2 times in my life where I ever saw my father cry. One of them was when I went to jail. The other time was when my mom had a heart attack. And, man, he no-sold everything, right? But when I went to jail, I saw him cry. And when I came out of jail, I mean, I only spent, 10, 12 hours in a holding cell because, they bailed me out. But I lost everything, man. I was kicked out of school. I had a scholarship to go to college. I lost that. I never got to graduate high school. I never went to prom. I never did a lot of things that other kids in high school got to do. I never did it. It was my junior year in high school, and I was a year away from graduating, and some things happened. I blew it, so I got kicked out. I went and got my GED, and my pop said, "Look, now you're out of school, so you need a job. So why don't you come work with me?" So for years, man, we worked together. Obviously, I've been doing music for as long as I can remember, but to pay the bills until music really started paying the bills, I was working with him. So we were doing construction together. It was me, him, and these 2 cats that he always worked with for years named David and Ollie, man. And they are a trip, especially David. But we had some really good times out there together, man. And really it was the best thing that really ever happened to me because it felt like I got hit with a ton of bricks, man. And, at that time I was depressed. I was thinking, I blew it. My life's over. I'm not going to have a future. That's it for me. I've screwed up everything. But really it was a blessing. Not only did I get to pursue my music career, because honestly, if I would have gone to college, I would have probably, kind of bailed out on my music. But And actually, I did go to college for a little bit. I went to Georgia Military College before my high school class graduated. But I was trying to juggle going to school, working, and music. And that's just a tricky triumvirate right there. That's a triple threat from hell. So I couldn't do it, man. I tried it. I just couldn't do it. I was getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, working with him till 4. Then I was going to school till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night school at GMC. And then I was coming home dead tired. Didn't have time to really do any music. And music was my passion. And I was really hitting my stride. This was like in 2007. So I was really hitting my stride. 2006, 2007, right before my class graduated, because I was class of 2007. I got kicked out of school at the end of 2005. Got my GED in 2006. In the summer of 2006, and then, by the end of 2006, I was in college before my class graduated. So it was kind of like, the hell with y'all. Y'all kicked me out of school, and I'm in college before the class graduated. So it was cool to be able to stick a middle finger up to the authority on that one. But really, I couldn't juggle the 3. So I dropped out of college. And I went to work with him full time. And when I wasn't working, I was doing music. So I was constantly in the studio. But the number one thing that got me through all of that, man, was him. Because every day, man, I'd be on a job and we'd just be talking about music. And he really, molded me not only as a man, but as an artist, because he gave me a lot of inspiration. Man, and he would tell these stories like a million times. I got a million different stories in my head from him that I've heard a million times. And if I even went into one of them, I'd be here all day. But, my dad, man, he was just the coolest cat that you ever met, man. Like, everybody respected him. Everybody loved him. He was cool, man. Like, he wasn't one of those dads that was like a dictator and, tried to, boss you around and nothing like that. Now, he was stern. Like, if you got out of line with him, he wouldn't play no games, but he wasn't the type of dad. He wasn't a dickhead is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? He was cool, man. He was like my friend, really. He was like my best friend. So every day, getting up 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, going to work with him, till 4 or 5 o'clock, whatever. And it was hard work, man. You're talking about Georgia heat. We be on the inside painting houses. Sometimes we be outside too, but mostly on the inside. And so it's 100 degrees outside. Can you imagine what it's like in a brand new house, still being constructed, no heat, no air. Really, you open the windows, it's like dead air coming in. So it must have been 115 degrees in those houses, man. And that man right there, he worked harder than anybody I've ever seen. But that's why I have so much respect for him, because I saw how hard he worked firsthand. When I was a kid, I didn't really understand it, because there would be times where, I'd be like, hey, Pops, let's go throw the football or throw the baseball, or, can we hang out, stuff like that. And he'd be he'd be tired, man. And when you're a kid, you don't really understand that, because you're like, oh, my dad doesn't want to spend time with me, or, help me do what I want to do. But it wasn't like that, man. Everything he did was because of us, was because of me and my brothers. Every dollar he had, he would give to my mom. And, anytime we wanted something, he made sure we got it, man. Like, we grew up, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. My family didn't. And we still don't. But he always made sure that we had whatever we wanted. If we needed new clothes for school, we had them. We needed new shoes, we had them. We wanted to go somewhere, do something, we did it. We wanted a new gaming console, we got it. We probably had every gaming console that ever came out, except for like the Jaguar and the 3DO. Everything else, I believe we had it, and that was because of him, because of how hard he worked, man. I've never seen anybody work so hard. And, he didn't do it to satisfy himself. He did it to help us. And he never drank, he never smoked. Never did any drugs, nothing like that, man. He was a good dude. He had a good heart, good head on his shoulders, and he always took care of my mom. And that's another thing. He loved her, man, more than I think any man could ever love a woman. They were married for 39 years, going on 40 years. I believe, the week after he passed, was their 40th, anniversary of being married. But, from the time that he was 19 up until the time he was 62 when he passed, they were together. So he always told me that my mom was the only woman that he ever loved. And, from the moment he met her, he knew that he wanted to be with her, and he was always going to be with her. And that was the truth. And, like I said, I saw him cry twice in my life. Once when I got locked up. The second time I saw him cry, was on Christmas Eve last year. My mom had a heart attack, which was also unexpected, but she survived. And my dad was really worried about it. And she also had some other health issues, and we didn't know if she would survive, because it was crazy, man. I've never seen her that sick in my life. And my dad was really taking it hard, but he was working so hard to take care of her, and he was doing everything in his power to take care of her. And one night he came to me and he said, son, and he was crying. He had tears in his eyes rolling down his cheek. And he said, I've never lived without her. He said, I don't know how to live without her. He was like, if she dies, I don't know how to live. I've been with her since I was 19 years old. I don't know if I can live without her. And those were his words, man. And it really touched me when he said that, because right then, I always knew how much he loved my mom, but right then I really knew how much he loved her. And he would do anything in the world to take care of her, and he did. Every day he was coming in there checking on her. He was going to get her food. He was going to get her medicine. He was doing anything he could to help her get better. And, by the grace of God, she's doing very good right now. It's almost been a year since her heart attack, but she's doing better every day, thank God. And, it's just so crazy, man, because I always felt like my pops was immortal, man. Like y'all just don't understand, man. I've seen this man do things that most people just couldn't accomplish, man. He was almost like Superman sometimes. We'd be on a job and stuff, and he'd always call me in when he needed me to help him move like heavy furniture and stuff. We went over to this lady's house. This was probably like 9 months ago, something like that, 8 months ago. And, he was remodeling our house, repainting it and everything. And, he was like, son, go in there and, get that recliner and move that recliner out for me. I said, all right. So I picked the recliner up. I carried it out of this lady's living room, went through her kitchen with it, and then took it to the back of the house, which there was like a kitchen and there's like a hallway. And so when you go into the hallway, there's like a room we were putting all the furniture in. So I come back from doing that, and I walk back into the living room. And what do I see when I walk into the living room? This man, 62 years old, he's got a whole couch up, man. Like it was nothing. This couch probably weighed 300 pounds, man. He had it up by himself. And he was just carrying it like it weighed nothing. So I was like, yo, I immediately jumped up and I grabbed the other end of it. I was like, Pops, you know what I'm saying? You got me here with you, man. Let me help you. But that's just how he was, man. Like, he was a hardworking dude, you know what I mean? Like, he did what he wanted to do, and you couldn't tell him otherwise, man. So that's why I always loved him, just for how he was, because there's nobody like that, man. You know what I mean? And, it's just things like that, man. I'll never forget. He always made me laugh, man. He tripped me out. But, I want to talk a little bit about, as you know, he was a singer. He was a construction worker. But I haven't really delved into another passion of his life. In the late 80s, my dad became a boxing trainer. And I'm not exactly sure how he got into it. But, he was always really athletic in high school. He played on a football team. And, growing up, he was always down at the boys club. He played every sport there was to play, man. He was pretty good at all of them. He trained a fighter by the name of Lawrence Pancho Carter. Pancho, known from, the Augusta Boxing Club here in Augusta, but Pancho also, I believe he was on the Olympic team in like 1980 or 1984. I can't exactly remember, but they took a lot of fights together. They had fights with Bone Crusher Smith. They had fights with Tony Tubbs. Biggest fight they ever had. Pancho fought a guy named Pinklin Thomas for the vacant WBF World Heavyweight Championship. And not only did Pancho beat him, Pancho knocked him out cold. And he knocked him out so bad that Pinklin had swelling on his brain. And they honestly didn't know if Pinklin was going to live, man. That, the doctors were saying he could die. If the swelling didn't go down, he could die. And if he did live, he might have severe brain damage. But by the grace of God, the swelling went down. Pinklin survived. But that was the end of his career. So my pops and Pancho, they ended Pinklin's career. And Pinklin, he had a hell of a career, man. He fought a lot of great fighters. He was a very good heavyweight. But that was the end of the road for Pinklin. But, they won the WBF title. I'm not sure exactly what happened after that. I think Pancho was stripped of the belt for whatever reason. The game of boxing is very political. But anyway, my dad also trained a heavyweight by the name of Thomas Top Dog Williams. He was also involved with Paul the Punisher Williams for a little while, out of the Peterson camp, in South Carolina. And, he trained a lot of different fighters over the years, but as of late, for the past 4 years, he's been training Alfonso Forrest Jr. Alfonso is the nephew of the late, great Vernon the Viper Forrest. I believe Vernon is a 5 or 6 time world champion. As we know, Vernon, was murdered in Atlanta. God rest his soul. Vernon was a class act, man. I had a lot of respect for him, both as a professional, in the ring, as a fighter, and as a human being, because he was a class act. Every time that I ever saw him, he had love for me, man. He always, gave me constructive criticism regarding my music, and he always supported me with my music. He even did a couple drops and things like that for me. But back to my father. My father was training Alfonso for the past 4 years. They had never taken, any fights or anything like that, because they were looking for the right deal, as far as promotional things like that. You know how the game of boxing is. So he didn't want to put Alfonso in the ring too early, or, against a tough opponent, things like that. Because, even if you're a pro debut, sometimes these promoters, if you don't watch them, they'll stick you in with some war horse, and then there you'll be standing 0-1. Because you weren't ready, or because, they put you in with an opponent that was over your head. But, suffice to say, Alfonso, has a lot of talent, man. Really, you know what I'm saying, his pedigree is off the chain because first of all, you know, his uncle is a Hall of Fame fighter. In my opinion, he'll be in the Boxing Hall of Fame. He's one of the best fighters there ever was, in his weight class. And, you know, he deserves that. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But like I said, he's got Vernon's blood flowing in his veins. And another thing, man, the whole Forrest family, they're all class acts, man. Every Forrest that I've ever met in my life has always shown mad love to me. So I got nothing but love for the Forrest family in Augusta. They're great people. November 9th, 2013, my father was in the gym with Alfonso, with this kid named LaMichael Williams as well. And, you know, he had just got done doing some mitt rounds, which, you know, that was my dad's bread and butter. From seeing him in the gym and also talking to other fighters, everyone used to always tell me he was the best mitt man they'd ever worked with, they'd ever seen, things like that. So he was highly respected, especially for his mitt work. And, you know, he just got done doing mitt rounds, and I believe that Alfonso and LaMichael were in the ring sparring. My brother Chad, you know, was in the gym cleaning the gym out. And so he was, you know, rearranging some things, stuff like that. And at the end of the round, sparring round, Alfonso looked over at my father, who was slumped over in a chair like he was asleep. Well, obviously he wasn't, you know, asleep. What had happened was, you know, he had a heart attack and he was basically unconscious. And Alfonso, you know, alerted my brother Chad. Chad came out there. Alfonso ran and got a CPR kit. They came back in. They tried to give him chest compressions, CPR, things like that. But basically, Chad was telling me when they moved him out of the chair that he was sitting in, he was pretty much already gone. And I just want to say thanks to Alfonso for everything he did, LaMichael as well, and to my brother Chad. Thank you for everything you did for our father, man. You know, you tried to save him. You did everything you could. You know, the doctor told you what you did was by protocol. You did everything correctly. And, you know, he was just already gone. And it was his time to go. And that night, man, was so surreal, because that morning I was with my father, man, and you know, we were cracking jokes, having fun, man. And I'm thankful for that, because the last day that I got to spend with him was a good one. We didn't go out on a bad note, nothing like that, man. We were having a great time, man. We were talking about getting together, watching the Knicks and Spurs game that Sunday, and possibly watching the fights that night. And he had asked me if I wanted to go to the gym with him, but I told him, I was like, look, Pops, I've been up all night. I'm going to sleep, because like y'all know, like I said, I'm a night crawler. But, you know, he passed away that night, and it was just unreal, man. It was so surreal. It was almost like it didn't happen, that you know, I just couldn't believe that he was dead, because like I said, I was with him that morning, and then for it to happen, you know, so quick like that was just crazy. But, you know, he died doing what he loved, man. He loved boxing. He loved being in the gym. And, you know, he was a great trainer. And he was a great man. And even Alfonso, if any of you ever had the opportunity to speak to him, he'll tell you that. Alfonso, when Vernon was murdered, I believe it was in 2009, when Vernon was murdered, Alfonso was really depressed. He had lost his passion for boxing, and Alfonso was a good boxer before then. You know, I believe he's won a couple of ringside tournaments. He had a record of like 49-1 as an amateur. And so my dad basically reached out to him and said, look, son, you know, you got Forrest blood in you, man. Don't let this get you down. You know, come train with me. I'll get you right, and we'll take some fights. And so he brought him along. And he had him boxing so beautifully, man. Like, I just watched him in the gym or just see tapes from when they record sessions, or I go over there and record sessions too. And it was just beautiful boxing, man. I mean, working angles, beautiful straight punches, combinations so crisp. Alfonso's footwork was just brilliant, man. I mean, him and my dad were doing some absolutely phenomenal work. And I was very, very pleased with everything that they had been doing. And, you know, Alfonso really touched my heart with what he said to me the night that we were in the hospital After we've been told that my father passed away, he come up to me and he said, Mark, I just want to let you know, man, I'm going to go hard for you. I'm going to go hard for you. Because my pops always told him, he said, look, son, he said, Alfonso, you're going to be world champ one day. You're going to be world champ. And so Alfonso told me, with everything he can do, he's going to make sure that comes true. He's going to do everything he can to get one of those belts in my father's honor. And I appreciate him saying that. That meant a lot to me. And Alfonso, anytime you fight, brother, I'm going to be there in your corner. My father is going to be in your corner always, man. You're always going to have him in your corner. But, he loved you, man. He loved you like a son. He loved you like you were one of my brothers, man. And I'm so glad that y'all got to share that bond because, that was another bond that I had with my father, boxing. Like, we'd always watch the fights every Saturday, and if they were on Tuesday night fights way back in the 90s or ESPN Friday night fights and the Saturday night fights on HBO, Showtime, we watched them all, man. And that's the main thing I'm going to miss other than the passion that we had with the music. Boxing is just, we would break down every fight, man. And he could always analyze. He would see things before they happened in the ring. And that's why he was such a good trainer because as far as tactics and strategy, he was one of the best, man. I mean, he was an assassin. He could come up with a game plan to just take people out, man. And that's one thing I'm going to miss with him, just watching these fights and breaking down opponents, man, and just, focusing in on their weaknesses. And if he was in that situation, what he would do to beat them. And that's one thing that I'm going to really miss, man. But, he lived a good life. He had 62 good years. He had a wife that loved him. He had 4 sons that loved him. He was successful in everything he ever did, man. He never failed at anything. Music, he was successful. In boxing, he was successful. And construction, I don't know anybody that wants to be successful in that, but he made a living out of it, man. He never had a lot of money, but he had a lot of love. And he had a lot of respect. He commanded respect because that's just how he was, man. That was his demeanor. He had an aggressive demeanor, but he had a loving demeanor, man. You know what I mean? Like he wanted you to succeed. He didn't want to watch you fail. He wanted to bring the best out of you. And he always brought the best out of me. And any fighter he ever trained, he always brought the best out of them. And so, I'm going to miss him for that because really I was blessed to have 25 years with my father. There's a lot of people in this world, that didn't spend 25 minutes with their father. So I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for everything he taught me. He gave me so much knowledge and wisdom in the 25 years that I spent with him. And I'm going to miss just laughing with him, man. He had such a good spirit. He'd always make me laugh. No matter what it was, man. It could be the dumbest damn thing, just something so trivial. He could always find a way to make me laugh. Or if I was in a bad mood, he could always turn my mood around and make me laugh, no matter how I was feeling. I could be totally down and depressed and just feeling like, the world was over. It was coming to an end. And if I walked in the room and I was talking to him for 30 seconds and he would have me feeling upbeat, that's just how it was. Like anytime I was facing things in my life, obstacles, adversity, he always uplifted me and made me feel good about myself. And he always told me, son, I'm so proud of you. Everything you've done with your music, I'm proud of you, man, because, he was kind of living vicariously through me with the music because I was having success and I was living my dream. But really, I was living vicariously through him because of his past. Like, he did a lot of great things, and really, I just wanted to be able to reach his level as far as a musician. I wanted to be able to go to where he went, but, I accomplished something that he never did. He never put out any albums. Because it was a different landscape in the 70s. It wasn't as simple as just doing an album and putting it out like it is now. So I got a ton of albums, but, I always told him, I said, Pops, even if you don't have an album coming out, don't worry, because you're going to be on my album. So Wall of Sound is going to be on my record, dedicated to my pops. And then me and Kane and Slew got a record coming out January 7th that in the liner notes, I dedicated it to the memory of my father. Because he had heard a couple of the records that I'd done on there prior to them being finished or mixed, and he thought it was good stuff, and he was proud of me. So, I'm gonna miss his, input on things, man, because he could always come in and critique stuff. I'd be like, yo, Pops, what do you think of this? What do you think of this beat? Or, what do you think about the verse on here? He really gave me a lot of insight as far as songwriting, because he really taught me the intricacies of songwriting and of music theory, composition, things like that. And, he really helped to mold my songwriting. And that's another thing that he blessed me with, as far as songs, because I didn't even know this, but I went into his email, and he would like write songs. He's an old timer. He probably don't even know how to open the notepad on the computer, but he would go into his email and he would save drafts of these songs that he wrote. He must have had like 200 of them in there. So what I'm going to do to honor him, because obviously I can't sing worth a damn, but a lot of these songs, they have cool concepts, a lot of cool little lyrics and stuff in there. So I think what I'm going to do is, to honor him, I'm going to take these lyrics, I'm going to flip them in my own way and kind of honor him, through that. So that'll be a project that I do, where I take, his lyrics that he wrote, twist them in my own way and put it out dedicated to him. So that's something that I want to do within the next year or so, whenever I, get back into the grind of doing things and I'm able to really get time to do it. But, my father was a great man. 25 years I had with him, 62 years he had on this earth. He did everything he ever wanted to do. He lived on his own terms. And really, he had a poetic death, man, because he died doing what he loved doing. He was happy when he died. He wasn't sad. He wasn't depressed. He wasn't angry at anybody. He was in his element, man. He was doing what he loved to do. And, we'll always honor him. My family will always honor him. Alfonso will always honor him. I'll always honor him. And, he's still alive, living through us, man, because the blood that's pumping in my veins, is his blood. I came from him. Everything I do, it's like a piece of him. Like I said, everything that I learned in music and that I learned in life, a lot of it came from him. So, Pops, I love you. I miss you. I know you're shining down on me, man. Keep looking out for me, man. Be that angel in my corner, man, because, I still need you. But, yeah, that's probably going to wrap it up for this week on the Mark Deez Words Show. I don't know when I'm going to do another episode because, like I said, I took a month off, and it took a lot for me to get in here and to do this and to talk about all this stuff and to dedicate it to my father. But I wanted to honor him, man, because he deserves for his story to be heard, even in, just this microbial type of way to express it, because it would take me hours and hours and hours to really break down the impact that he had on my life and he had on other people's lives, because he touched a lot of people's lives, man, a lot of people's hearts. I never met anybody that didn't like my father that I can think of. I never met anybody that genuinely did not like him. Everybody had respect for him. Everybody had love for him. Everybody wanted to know his opinion on things, man, and people look for his input. No matter what it was, they always wanted to know his opinion, because he had a good perspective on things. And I feel like I'm a lot like him in that way. I'm very different from him, but I'm a lot like him in certain ways, especially as an artist and in general as a human being. The way I operate, is a lot like him. And his spirit's going to live on forever through me, through the music, and through the impact that he had in the boxing, man, because he taught a lot of people how to throw them things, baby. He kept me from getting my ass whooped a lot of times, man, a lot of times. I had a mean left hook, a mean right hook, and a mean straight right hand that I learned from him. So, thank God that he blessed me with that, because if I wouldn't have had that, Pops, I would have got my ass knocked out one too many times. But luckily, I always held my own anytime somebody was talking some trash. So I appreciate you for that. But Mark Deez fans, people that are listening, January 7th, Mark Deez and Canis Lou, Of Beasts and Men, the new album drops. You can get it on markdeez.com, canislou.com. You can get physical copies on undergroundhiphop.com. You can get your digital copies on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon MP3, Xbox Live, Google Play. It'll be everywhere you can think of. And on top of that, we got a brand new music video out. It's called Music. It's produced by Panic of Moments. So go on YouTube, look it up. Mark Deez, Canis Lou, Music. Mark Deez, Canis Lou, Of Beasts and Men, in stores, January 7th, 2014, Wicked City, Illegit Records, Grindhouse Gang, Cornbread Children. We doing the damn thing, man. And on top of that, the new Grindhouse Gang album is coming. 3 Assassins, coming first quarter 2014. We're hoping for February or March. February and March. Powder knows what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's coming. Stay tuned for that. Me and Cannabis about to get back in the booth and work on this crisis music as soon as I can get back on my feet. So we're working on things, man, and there's gonna be a lot of music, a lot of content coming out in 2014. So stay tuned. I am the one and only Mark Deez. This is the Mark Deez Word Show podcast. I'm gonna try to do some more episodes. It might be a couple of weeks. We'll have some new guests on. We'll be talking about a whole variety of things. There's no telling where we're going next. Peace out, everybody. Much love. Check out everything on markdeez.com. If you need to holler at me for a feature, for a booking, email me, markdeez33@gmail.com. I'm signing out. Peace.